right, so we're going to do the recessed face option here. Um, there's another video that shows how to do the juice groove. You can do one or the other. Um, the juice groove obviously is going to use a different tool than this video here. In the juice groove video, we use a kind of what's called a ball nose or a rounded over end bit. This one here, we're going to use the same bit actually we used to flatten the surface of the butcher block so that it's actually sandable and machinable for other parts. Now, I already measured the inside of my inside working edges of my butcher block to 2.25. I had some really easy ones here. I was hoping they wouldn't be, but they are. And there's really not anything you can do about it. It is what it is. Some of these might be, and I said you have to be accurate to a 16th of an inch to make sure that this gets centered as nicely as possible. So, I would definitely make sure that you're doing that. And then mine was 10 inches high. So the long way is the 225, obviously 10 inches this way. In order to make the recessed face, I need to make a rectangle for my butcher block, and I need to give it a little bit of an allowance. You need to have a little bit of an edge on your board around the outside. The recessed face shouldn't go right up to the working edge, so there should be a buffer zone here. For my board, I'm going to actually use I'm going to start with a 1/2 inch buffer and see if that looks good. If it looks good, then I will actually use that. If it doesn't look ample enough, then I might actually reduce the size of the rectangle further by a 1/4 inch. That will actually add more material on the edges. But let's just see what the rectangle looks like. So for that, I'm just going to subtract 1 inch from both of these measurements for my rectangle. So 19.25 by 9. So I'm going to go in here to my rectangle, and I can specify that. I already did that for the juice groove video. So there's my measurements. And again, it allows a 1/2 inch on both sides. So a 1/2 inch over here plus a 1/2 inch over here means a total distance reduction of 1 inch. So I'm going to create that. It isn't centered. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and close that down. I'm going to select the rectangle, go to this feature here, and push the middle one, which does a top, bottom, left, right alignment. There it is right there. Okay. So I'm going to close this now, and then what I'm going to do is switch right to toolpath. So yeah, it really is that easy. So I'm going to use the toolpath. Again, a different way. We haven't used this yet. So in our previous designs, we used a profile toolpath. We used an engraving toolpath, and you may have for your laser used what's called quick engraving, which allows us to actually, as you can see there, create a laser version or an etch, but we're not doing etching. Here we're using Pocket, so Pocket's a little bit of a different setup. I'm going to go ahead and click that. Tools are all the same though, so when you go in here and actually, lists like cut depth and things like that, and we're going to just immediately change our cut depth to 0.25. That's a fairly traditional recessed cut for this, so 0.25 inches. And our end mill tool is already selected, which is awesome. We're just going to go in and make sure that the end mill is actually going the right speed. Every time you choose a different tool path, you have to go in and verify that the tool is A, the right size, and B, that it is traveling at a reasonable speed. Now, for milling this out, 60 inches a minute, I know that seems fast. It's not really that fast. That's actually going to be just fine for this tool because it's actually fairly larger in terms of that. And the other thing we have to watch here for is step over. We don't want this thing to be going over its tracks too much. So we're going to actually make sure that your step over is set to 85%. That's where we want to be. We want to leave that 15% just to make sure that there aren't any edges left behind. But at the same time, we don't want this to travel over its original path too much. So our step over needs to be 85%, and the computer will understand that. Our pass step is actually good at 125, but we'll just make sure that that's verified when we go up to our pass numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK to that because I like the way that tool looks. I like everything in terms of setup, so we're good there. And there we go. So our number of passes is going to be 2. That should be enough material to come off of the board, but not too much that the machine is struggling with that. We also want to make sure there's a couple of things here that we're looking at in terms of how you would clear the pocket out. And so there are different ways in which this can be done. We're going to make sure this says that it's doing a raster and it's going to be conventional. And we're not changing angles or anything like that. We actually can't do that on this thing. So we're good with that. And then the only thing we want to talk about here is we're just going to call this the recess face. And let's see, I think I'm missing something here. There's something. No, maybe I'm okay. So recess face, and I'm going to just put my initials on that as well. And let's see what this looks like. I think everything's right. All right, so far it looks okay. You can see here that it looks like there's more of a difference, but remember the bit itself is 0.75. Let's just let's slow this down a little here so it's not going a million miles an hour and see what we get. So it's doing basically the same pattern tool path that it did before. I'm starting to like what I'm seeing here. This looks good. It always does a finish edge around the outside, as you can see. All right, let's turn it 3D. There we go. That looks good. I don't think I'm going to add any extra thickness to this. This looks good enough for me. Again, if you want to do that, you're going to have to downsize your rectangle accordingly. So if you want to make this wider, you can check with me and say, hey, what do you think the measurement should be? And we can kind of come up with a measurement from there. But that's good. That looks like a good recess face right there. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I save this. So you would obviously want to close this down, check that, hit your disk button. You're outputting toolpaths to one file. It doesn't matter because there's just one toolpath here. Make sure it is the Shark 3D Contour inch tap file. And then, of course, you would save that as recess face VH, or not VH, but recess face with your initials or name. And then up here, just save this as features. So you can save this as features because you may also be putting a laser in here, and you're going to want to actually have this saved so that you can go back in, edit this, add your laser logo file to it, your design, and then go ahead and put that out as well. But that's a different setup. There's already a video for that. So there you go. That's a recessed face. And the thing is, just keep in mind that the board is going to be much thicker than what you see here. I set my board to 3/4 of an inch. As long as you have enough material there that the computer doesn't freak out telling you you're going to carve through it, you can kind of see that's the depth of that recessed face. So 1/4 of an inch is more than enough. I wouldn't recommend going any deeper than that. And I really wouldn't recommend going any shallower than that because you're going to lose that edge. If you go 1/8 inch or less, you're really going to kind of lose that edge. It's going to look kind of strange if you don't have kind of like a crisp an edge that's deep enough there. So there you go. Hopefully this helps you to create the recessed face if that's one of the designs that you're going for.